If you had a list of things you wanted to achieve in 2026, how many of them have you actually done? Maybe you wanted to get that promotion. Maybe you wanted to start working out. Maybe you wanted to save more money, travel somewhere, spend more time with your family, or finally start that hobby you've been putting off for years. And now you look at the calendar and realize, wait, it's already August? More than half of 2026 is gone. And if you're anything like me, you might be feeling that slight bit of panic. Where did the year go? But here's the thing, 2026 is not over. We still have more than 4 months left. And 4 months can actually change quite a lot. So instead of waiting for January 1st to give ourselves another fresh start, let's use the time that we have left. In this video, I'm going to give you 9 areas of life to look at, before 2026 ends. Think of this as your 4 month reset. Let's get started. Number one, career and studies. Let's start with something most of us spend a huge part of our lives doing, work. Maybe your goal this year was to finally get that promotion. Maybe you wanted to switch jobs. Maybe you wanted to start an entirely new career. Or maybe you wanted to learn a new skill and finally reach the income level you've been aiming for. And if you're a student, maybe your goal was simply to take your studies more seriously and finally perform at your full potential. So ask yourself honestly, did I actually make progress? Or have I been telling myself I'll start next month? Because if you haven't started yet, please don't make the mistake of waiting for 2027. You don't need a new year. You don't even need a new month. You need a decision. We get 52 weeks in a year, and we still have roughly 18 weeks left in 2026. Imagine what you can accomplish if you genuinely logged in for 18 weeks. You could complete a course. You could, build a new skill. You can apply for a new job. You could start that business you've been thinking about. You can finally start working towards that promotion. I recently started taking my YouTube channel seriously. And I know how easy it is to keep saying, I'll start when I have more time. But there is never going to be a perfect time. So here's my pact with you. You start working seriously on your goal, and I'll start working, I'll keep on working on my goal. So let's see where we are, at the end of 2026. Second, take that vacation. This one is for anyone who has spent the entire year saying, I'll travel later, work is too busy, I'll go next month, and suddenly it's August. If you've been putting off taking a proper vacation, maybe it's time to stop postponing it. Plan a trip with your family, take a trip with your friends. Or if you're comfortable with it, maybe take a solo trip. And it doesn't have to be an expensive international vacation. Go somewhere you've never been. Explore a new city. Experience a different culture. Try something you've never tried before. Because when you look back at your life, you probably won't even remember every email you answered or every late night, you spent working. You'll remember the experiences. You remember the people, the places, the conversation, the memories. So if you've been waiting for permission to take the break, this is your sign. Number three, friends and family. At the beginning of the year, maybe you told yourself, this year I'm going to spend more time with my family. I'm going to meet my friends more often. But life happened, work happened, responsibilities happened, and suddenly months have passed. Maybe, you live away from your family like I do. Maybe everyone in your friend group is now an adult. with their careers, relationship, responsibility, families, and completely different schedule. But that's exactly why you have to make an effort. Call that friend, make plans for the weekend, book those tickets home, have dinner with your parents, meet your siblings. Because here's something we don't like to think about: time is passing, whether we pay attention to it or not. Our parents are getting older. Our friendships can become distant. People who were once a huge part of our everyday lives can slowly become people we only message, once every few months. And sometimes nothing dramatic happens. We just stop making the effort. So before 2020 ends, make that effort. Don't let another year pass without showing the people you love that you love them. Number four, your health. This might be the most important one on the list because you can have an incredible career, you can have money, you can have amazing, family and friends. But if you don't have health, everything else, it becomes very hard to enjoy. And most of us already we already know what we need to do. We need to eat better, we need to move our bodies, we need to sleep properly 7, 8, 9 hours, take care of ourselves. The problem is not information, the problem is consistency. Every January we are motivated, we buy the gym clothes, we promise ourselves we are going to eat healthy, we are going to work out, we are going to work out every week. And then, the motivation that we have at the beginning of the year, it disappears. That's why I don't think motivation is enough. You need discipline. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when you don't feel like working out. Discipline, it's what makes you stop at one samosa instead of having three. Discipline is what makes you go to bed instead of scrolling till, 2 a.m. at the middle of the night. And don't just think about what you want to lose. Think about, what you want to become. Visualize yourself feeling stronger. Visualize yourself walking up 3 flights of stairs without getting exhausted. Visualize yourself sleeping properly, having more energy, feeling good in your own body. You don't need to completely transform your life in 4 months. Just start making better choices consistently. Your future self will thank you. Number five, your mental and emotional growth. We've talked about the physical glow up. Now let's talk about mental glow up. Because becoming a better version of yourself is not just about looking better, it's also about thinking better. Maybe you've been struggling with self doubt. Maybe you're stuck in your comfort zone. Maybe you're afraid to make a change in your career. Maybe you're in a friendship or a relationship that you know is not good for you. Maybe you constantly people please. Maybe you're sabotaging your own self because you're afraid of falling. Whatever it is, you can't solve a problem that you refuse to acknowledge. So take some time and ask yourself, what is the one thing that I know is holding me back? And then be brutally honest, because we don't want to enter the next year carrying the exact same problems that we have been through in 2026. Maybe you need to set boundaries. Maybe you need to leave a situation. Maybe you need to become more confident. Maybe you need to seek everyone's approval. Maybe you need professional help and better tools to deal with something that you're struggling with. Whatever the issue is, start working on it now. You don't have to become a completely different person in the next 4 months. We just have to become, a better version of ourselves every single day. Number six, hobbies and interest. Now let's talk about something that doesn't necessarily make you more productive. And that's exactly why it's important. What do you actually enjoy doing? Did you have a hobby you wanted to start this year? Painting, reading, journaling, dancing, playing an instrument, swimming. Maybe there's something you've been interested in for years, But you've kept telling yourself, I'll do it when I have more time. Well, you may never have time. You have to make time. Book that dance class, take that guitar lesson, buy the paintbrushes, pick up the book, try something creative. Because life can just be about work, money, productivity. Sometimes you need to do something simply, because it makes you happy. Give yourself permission to be a beginner again. Number seven, that big purchase. Now, this one requires a little more thought. Is there something you've been wanting to buy for a long time? Maybe it's a new phone, a laptop, a camera, a Dyson, or maybe even a car. And you've been going back and forth. Do I really need this? Am I just getting influenced by social media? Should I wait? And honestly, sometimes waiting is the right decision. But if you've thought about it carefully, you can afford it, and you genuinely believe it will add value to your life, it's okay to buy something for yourself, especially with the festive season and sales coming up. Just make sure you're buying something because you actually want or need it, not because an influencer convinced you that your current one is not good enough. There's a difference between consuming because you're bored and spending money on something that genuinely is going to improve the quality of your life. So ask yourself, will I still want this 6 months from now? If the answer is yes, then it fits within your budget. Maybe it's time to make that purchase. Number eight, your money and investments. And speaking of money, this is something I really want you to look at before the year ends. Because financial independence isn't something that suddenly happens one day. It starts with small decisions. If you've been saying, I need to start saving, start now. If you're earning a decent income but somehow reaching the end of every month with nothing left, sit down and look at your expenses. Where is the money going? Maybe it's food deliveries, shopping, subscriptions, random gadgets, or buying things simply because they're trending. And I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy your money. Please do. But you should also be building a financial cushion for yourself because savings give you something incredibly valuable. Guess what it is? Freedom. The freedom to handle an emergency, the freedom to make a career change, the freedom to say no to something you don't want to do. And once you've built up the savings, you can start thinking about, investing according to your goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon. That could mean things like fixed deposits, mutual funds, equities, gold, or other suitable investments according to your needs. You don't have to understand everything on day one. Start by learning. Start small if that's appropriate for you. And most importantly, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Product diversification is the way to go. Start saving a portion of your earnings, and trust me, once you start saving and investing, the sense of achievement and relief that you're going to feel looking at your own portfolio is going to be priceless, because it's going to tell you that you are in control of your future and no one can take that away from you. Your money should be working towards building your future, not just funding your present lifestyle. Number nine, help someone. And finally, something that has nothing to do with money, career, productivity. Help someone. Because sometimes we can become so focused on our own lives that we forget to look around. Maybe there's a friend who's struggling. Call them. Maybe your mother needs someone to talk to. Sit with her. Maybe a colleague is looking for a new opportunity. Help them, with a referral if you can. Maybe someone around you is struggling financially and you're in a position to help them. Or maybe it's something as simple as being kind to a stranger. A smile, a compliment, a few genuinely nice words. You may never know what someone else is going through. And the beautiful thing about kindness is that it doesn't cost you anything. I've been guilty of being so focused on my own life that I forget to look around. But I think that's something all of us can work on. Don't just try to make your own life better. Try to make someone else's life a little better too. So those are the 9 areas I want you to look at in 2026. Your career, your health, your relationship, your mental well-being, your hobbies, your experiences, your finances, the things you've been putting off, and the people that you can help. And I want you to remember one thing: you are not behind. It doesn't matter if January goals didn't happen. It doesn't matter if you wasted the last 8 months. You cannot change the first 8 months of 2026, but you can decide what happens in the next 4 months. So don't wait for January 1st. Don't wait for a Monday. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start now. Pick just one thing from this video, one, and work on it for the next 4 months. Because imagine reaching December and being able to say, I'm so glad I didn't wait for another year. And I'm going to do the same. I've only recently, started my YouTube channel seriously, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So if you're also starting something new, let's do it together. Let's use these last 4 months of 2026 to become a little healthier, a little wiser, a little happier, and more confident. And when 2027 arrives, let's not start from zero. Let's start from everything we've built in these last 4 months. If this video gave you something to think about, tell me in the comments. What is the one thing you're going to change before 2026 ends? I'll see you in the next video.